Hello everyone, I am Anbu Varadhan, President of UFI. I am pleased to introduce UFI's Global Policy Leadership series. In these sessions, you will hear directly from leaders and senior officials from economic, trade, and tourism ministries and departments all around the world. The leaders would focus on the economic vision for their country and the role the exhibitions and business events play in driving the economy, both to build back better and to support a resilient and sustainable future.
Hello and welcome to the UFI office in Paris, where I'm literally on my way to record the conversation with Secretary Yau of Hong Kong for this Global Policy Leadership series. We will discuss the role of business events for a trading destination like Hong Kong and what the government is doing to support our sector's comeback after the pandemic. So, here we go, off to the video. And now I have the great honor to speak with Secretary Yau in Hong Kong. Mr. Secretary, how are you today?
Fine, thank you, Kai. Nice to meet you, and also your audience as well.
Thank you indeed for taking the time and for speaking to us, because we are doing this series to find out how business events and exhibitions can be helpful in guiding an economic recovery after the pandemic. So with that in mind, allow me to ask you, what is your economic vision and what are your economic strategies for the development of Hong Kong as we come out of the pandemic?
Yeah, thank you. I think the whole world at this point of time is still struggling sort of from the COVID-19. So, and I think the exhibition trade is in particular is hard hit, and Hong Kong is no exception. But when you ask me how's economic vision, I think Hong Kong happens to be in a very interesting time and also interesting part of the world, because when we look at the how the whole world tackled COVID, I think we are not yet out of the woods. But fortunately, I think we are part of the big nation of China, where they have been achieving some success in terms of combating this twin battle of both COVID and also the economic downturn. On the one hand, I think mainland of China has achieved quite remarkable results in terms of containing COVID-19, and therefore a lot of economic activity within the mainland are able to be back to a high degree of normalcy. And Hong Kong is taking advantage of that. But at the same time, I think mainland China is also one of the very few economies which is able to achieve a positive GDP growth, given its size, its exposure, and all the challenges. So again, that's also an economic strength for Hong Kong, and likewise for the wider trade, including exhibition and conventions. But of course, we are still very much handicapped by the fact that we are not able to resume normal business, and trade fair, conferences, and exhibitions are still very much reduced. But looking ahead, I think Hong Kong, in the current situation, we have, for instance, at this point of time, we have over a month without any community outbreak or sort of cases, except those sort of imported from other places. And also, I think the first quarter of Hong Kong has achieved a 7.1% of GDP growth, which is the best we can get at this difficult time. But I think we are all facing the same situation where before the whole world go back to normality, I think no one is spared. But I think for the trade and exhibition industry, it is always a very good platform for us to plan ahead that in the post-epidemic era, how best we can sort of bring back business, but also provide a better platform for all the trade, which can ride on the success of this particular industry.
Now, Mr. Secretary, I have to admit I'm in my early 50s, and I grew up at school with the geography teachers teaching us the importance of Hong Kong as one of those leading trade destinations in the world where a lot of trade flows through. So what is the role that exhibitions and business events can play in delivering that function going forward?
Well, in addressing question, first and foremost, one would need to look at Hong Kong in the context of the wider trade and economic setting. Hong Kong, despite tiny sort of city within 1,000 square kilometers, has a population of 7.5 million. So we are not that big even as a city, but our economic strength is much bigger than our sort of sheer size. We are the world's 6th largest sort of trading entity in terms of trade in goods, and also within the top 20 in terms of trade in services. Now, this economic actness provide Hong Kong with the economic backdrop that, well, we do not just do trading, but also we facilitate all sorts of trading from commodity to services. Now, we are also a major financial center, one of the 3 major financial centers together with London and New York. And also we are increasingly a trading hub for high-end sort of products. Take, for instance, the auction houses selling sort of arts pieces. These days, Hong Kong is among the top 3 in terms of volume of transaction. Now, so having a very strong trade background, having a strong sort of a financial services background, in fact, provide the best soil for the industry of trade convention and exhibitions. Because, well, trade tend to focus on area where you have the most sort of focus on places where you see people converge, or products converge, or information converges. So I think Hong Kong is in fact providing that platform, and that's the reason why, well, Hong Kong has been one of the world's sort of major destination for important and mega-sized trade exhibitions. I think that is something to do with the economic background. But in addition, I think Hong Kong has also equipped with the talent and also the skill and services that supports this particular industry. We have the facility here. We have also sort of developed the brand name, and we have also been accommodating quite a lot of major sort of trade exhibitions and conventions that are regularly being held in this part of the world.
You mentioned some of the industries that run trade shows in Hong Kong, and we recently held our regional UFI Asia Pacific conference, and we had to hold it digitally still because of the travel restrictions still being placed because of the outbreaks. And we produced it in Hong Kong, and part of it was we had a live link to Art Basel Hong Kong, which was taking place on that very day, and it was very encouraging to see people on the show floor. And we talked to a few of the exhibiting galleries, and they were certainly very, very happy to have the opportunity to meet their customers again face to face in Hong Kong. And that for us is a testament to the importance of the trade show floors and the physical meetings returning as quickly as possible. So let me ask you this, Mr. Secretary, how can we as the exhibitions industry and you as government work together in the best possible way to give every industry, every community, every sector the opportunity to run shows and attend shows again successfully?
Yeah, Kai, you mentioned about a very interesting phenomenon, but also a challenge to this whole industry is because of COVID, because of the travel ban between countries and economies. I think that the exhibition industry is entering into new mode of operation. Take Hong Kong as example. I think in the last 1.5 years, many of the major sort of events canceled. But that does not mean that, well, these events, including trade fair, conventions, exhibitions, are entirely ground to a halt. But actually, they're taking a different mode. You mentioned about online, offline. You also mentioned about the bringing in of new technology. Now, take for instance, in the case of Hong Kong, I think the visible part of many of these industries are well known. Well, you need to be having a very good location for trade to come. But with this new development, online, offline, I think what's in essence is not just the physical location, but also all the infrastructure supporting a successful trade event, including, for instance, communication technology. Now, Hong Kong having laid out our 5G network last year, we're in fact on the top of the world league in terms of coverage of 5G. And in fact, the provision of 5G as a communication tool actually helps in the exhibition trade, because now that with 5G, with the high sort of coverage as well as speed, we're able to sort of use these communication tool to sort of bring the customers, be they from B2B or C2C, to come closer to the product and also the human interaction. You mentioned about Art Basel, where we see experts and professionals talking to each other without much barrier, although they are still in different parts of the world. Now, that's one of the invisible services, which is very important at this time when we are not able to resume into full physical operation. Of course, another invisible but important pillar in supporting conferences and exhibitions are all the services behind a trade event. Take, for instance, business research, product research, or in the case of art show, authentications of certain products, to also business matching. Now, all these are things that are being done prior to the event, or simultaneously with the event, or in the post-exhibition period. Now, all this require a lot of talent, a lot of supporting services, and to the extent of sort of having a fleet of professionals working around the globe, around the clock in support of the major events. Now, that is something that Hong Kong is also happily possessing, that, well, we have this built up this data, this clientele, and also this expertise to make an event in Hong Kong, either online or offline, to be a major success. Now, back to your question, well, in what way government can support this? Of course, in terms of infrastructural development, we are in fact trying to upgrade our facilities. There is a plan to extend the current exhibition convention center, which is a crown jewel of Hong Kong sort of exhibition trade right at the center of the city. We have also sort of continue to support agency, which are the main pusher of these conventions, including the Trade Development Council, which is a world-renowned sort of agency in trade promotion, and to some extent the Tourism Board, which also sort of a very good partner to the game. Now, physical and also sort of supporting organization aside, the Hong Kong government has been giving a lot of financial support to this particular trade. We have, in fact, injected no less than $130 million only in the last year or so in helping each and every sort of exhibition or convention event which is able to take place in Hong Kong. This is exactly the time that, well, we need to help them to tie over. Hopefully, well, they can keep the momentum, they can sort of adjust to this difficult time, and when normalcy really comes back, then they will be back to the full strength to do it. And of course, Hong Kong remain a major sort of trading hub, and the strength and also the momentum of trade, which we have seen, is also giving a major push to the exhibition and convention to be held in Hong Kong. So on the whole, we are taking things quite positively, that while handling COVID, we're also sort of marching on to see a brighter future for the general trading and environment, as well as your particular industry.
So, Mr. Secretary, it's investing in digital infrastructure, physical infrastructure, and in helping the industry to get through this rough spot to make sure that we can run these shows again and bring the communities back together again.
Exactly. I think that's well, we often say that, well, at a time of a crisis, it also brings opportunity. So definitely, I think the industry is coping in this manner, and we are already seeing some light at the end of the tunnel.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for your time. And I wish that the next time we meet, it is face-to-face and not screen-to-screen.
Exactly. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you.
We will be showing you these sessions throughout the year and from countries around the globe to showcase the true global picture of our dynamic, wide-ranging, and multifaceted industry. I hope you enjoy this discussion.